Hi, my name is Heleen Gerritsen. I'm the director of Go East Festival of Central and Eastern European Film, and I'm very happy that with us today is Daniyar Alshinov, who played the main role in Chorny Chorny Человек, A Dark Dark Man, a film from Kazakhstan by Adilkhan Yerzhanov. You're joining us from Moscow today.
Yes, I am. Thank you very much for inviting
Yeah,
me.
of course. You play the main character, a corrupt policeman, Begzat. Well, he's part of a corrupt police system, I would say, a rather cynical character, quite typical for a film noir. However, he changes during the film. He goes through a process. How did you prepare for this role?
In the beginning, I wasn't very fit for the role because I was young, and Alejandro wanted someone older. And that's the classic story with me. I'm always young for the role, but eventually I have to play the character. So I had a mostly comedic background before. That was my first dramatic role, and I felt I felt absolutely stressed out because I didn't know if I would be able to do that. So the thing started with the hair because I never cut my hair that short, and Alhan said you have to be as like less fancy as possible. So I tried to stay out of all the fancy stuff in the city for a month, trying to immerse myself a little bit. But mostly, of course, it was rehearsals and the most detailed and thorough description of the character by the director, by Adil Khan, because he had a very solid vision of the story and of the character and of his arc, transformational arc. But of course, I'm a person. I'm a different person. I'm an actor. I have my own like uh, features. So I can try to adjust that. For example, I don't speak. I haven't spoke very good Kazakh at that moment. Now I do better. But 3 years ago, I wasn't. So Alhan said, let's pretend you are from the north and you are working on the south. So you speak more Russian than Kazakh, and that also changed the character a little bit. And those like tiny things, we tried to kind of build the character slowly, rehearsing, taking something. Oh, that was good. Something that doesn't fit. No, we take it out. And we worked for a month approximately. But since the very first day I met Ali Khan and he told me about the character and the story, how it's going to look like, and the catharsis of the story, the end of the story, how it's going to be, that hasn't changed pretty much. So I said that's my dream role. I always wanted to play someone like this.
Mm. But it
And
must be challenging because Adil Khan chooses a lot of wide shots, also for instance for the fight scenes. So there's not a lot of space for trickery there. Did you do a lot of the stunts yourself?
yes, those weren't like very complicated stunts for me, since I had some martial arts background, and also in the other film we had a whole one shot acting scene, and I was pretty ready for this. But the thing I wasn't ready for is the acting of that Adil Khan wanted, because he wanted all of the colors, all of the emotions to fade away a little bit, so it wouldn't be like very vivid showing my emotions. So I had to hide them. He said it's better for you not to show anything than to show something most of the time. And I don't care if you would do a math equation since you're an engineer in your head, but just as long as you have a thought in your eyes, you know. But of course, that was kind of mostly joke. But I try to think about what would character think. All right, and but hiding that and always trying to be within this tiny frame of emotions that the character is realistic to show. You know, he's very close to very cynical, as you said, and the goal was for audience to not know till the very last moment what character really thinks about this whole thing, whether he's changed or not. And at the end of the movie, mostly at the end of the movie, I think it was when Ariana, the journalist, was arrested and taken away, and I was smoking a cigarette, and she was told that I set it up. And in this scene, Ilhan told me we still in this scene we shouldn't know whether he is really like thinking that that he did something bad, or he's just thinking he won this duel with the journalist. So it should be tricky till the very last scene.
Well, it kind of fits the entire picture, like the subduedness of it, if that's even an English word. Like also the colors that he chooses, it's all like a bit, the color grading is done in such a way, and also the emotions are kind of subdued. Sometimes even a bit to a comical effect, right? That's all very subtle. I think this is a very typical thing for the films of Adolkhan Yurshanov.
Well, comical effect. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that was I would say for sure that was an intentional thing to have humor and parts of like bits of comedy in almost every scene.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it wouldn't be I would say more realistic. If you have like pure drama and horror, it's not interesting because life is always funny. Like as Khan said, in life, in the most terrific situations, you have something that looks very funny.
I agree. And you've now worked on 4 films with Adil Khan. So, how did you meet? How did that come into being?
Well, it just happened, because since after Dark Man, we had a very short break, and Khan already wrote a script for a different film. It's called Boy Atbai's Fight, and it's a movie about the MMA fighter. He's a low life, and he's trying to fight his way up.
In which you also play the main character.
I made a main character Atbai, and that was acting wise, that was harder because I had to prepare myself both physically and to change a little bit mentally. And there was like acting as you would describe it, to act a lot. It's a very vivid film. It's all over the place. So that was like month after Dark Man. And then we had a break. Khan offered me to play his next film. I said, no, I think I have to take a break because that was challenging and it took a lot of me to play both of the characters. And then we had a break, and I would say, like, actually, it wasn't like that I expected, but during the quarantine, the springtime, Khan told me, "Oh, I have a great story about that I wrote right now in the quarantine during the lockdown. So you want to play it?" I said, "Okay." It's been like more than a year since we worked. Let's try. And it was low budget film, but it turned out to be really good. Again, it's Karatas, the same village, and again, it's a cop. But not a detective, just a field cop. And but I would say the setup is pretty much the same, but it's completely different story in terms of acting, in terms of genre and colors and everything. It's a very bright summer story. I would say comedy with a tragedy at the end, of course.
And it's in post-production right now, right?
It's in post-production right now, yes. And then I was about to leave Almaty and go back to my city, and Adil Khan told me, "Hey, you want to like play a tiny role in my next film, Democracy Education?" That was a big project as well, not a low budget. It was like good preparation period and everything, pre-production. So I said, "Okay, let's think about something that I can do there." But finally, eventually, he said, "You should be playing the main character." But the main character was like 50 years old, so we had to go through a physical transformation because I had to lose weight. We changed face significantly, new teeth, and everything. I dyed my hair.
Sacrifices of an actor. That's
Yes.
all part of it.
So it was project number 4, and so far I think that was my hardest but yet most interesting role in the last film with Khan. So
let's go back a bit to Dark Man, because we hope, of course, to have these next films at our festival. Also, I'm looking forward to watching it, but our audience has not seen them yet.
Yeah, I know.
So this film is also, and most of Adil Khan's film are also in a way social criticism to the corrupt system in Kazakhstan. So I was wondering, how do audiences back home in Kazakhstan react to that?
Well, I would love to make a small remark that even though it might be a social criticism, it's never political. Because I think, and Adil Khan agrees with me, well, I agree with Adil Khan that art should not be political. Well, of course, we are all political eventually when we do something But the main goal is not to be political, is to create something that you really want to create without thinking like I want to change the world, right? And only when you do that without being very moralist, maybe that's when you really like touch people, and change something in their souls. But that's the approach of Adil Khan. So,
But would you say his films reflect the state of Kazakh society in a way? I mean,
I also asked this question, Adil Khan, like, how do you think? Is it really like that? He said, well, it's just a film. It's considered it's just a film, right? When we watch American films, we don't say that America's like that. It's a gangster movie. It's a genre. So yes, there might be things like that. Probably there are, but you always have to look like in general. What's the situation? That wasn't the goal. I would say I know for sure there was not the goal to say, hey, look how it is in Kazakhstan, and it's always like that. Because I live in Kazakhstan, I know that like most of the time it's fine. It's even good and safe, But there are like headlines in the news, like bad things happen somewhere in the village, and we know that. Otherwise, it wouldn't be realistic if we shot that movie in Kazakhstan. So I would say yes, definitely things like that might happen. And also, we made a reference to 1990s. So the movie is more like 1990s style. So we kind of extrapolated to that period of time, which was pretty rough in the whole post-Soviet territory.
and how do audiences respond at home? Like, do they see it as more as a genre film, or do they respond to the social criticism? I'm sorry, I'm just going to continue call it that. Do they respond to this aspect as well?
No, that's fine. The way you see it is always right because you're the audience. I would say it's different. It's different because some people they are very touched with the story and they view it as a cinematic, just a cinema, and say that yeah, that was great cinema. Some people say, why would you shoot a film like this? And because we see that every day, like sometimes people in the villages, for example, and I don't want to watch a film about my country where I already see it from outside of my window, something like that. And some people, because some people say, it's great. So films like this have to be here because it changes something and it shows the reality. So it's different. There's no like common opinion about them.
Sure. You just mentioned that you've been filming all summer, basically, and you're in Moscow right now, also working on a film. Here in Germany, we're back in a new lockdown, and working on a film set is very hard. Like, everyone has to wear masks, and what is that like in Kazakhstan and in Russia? And do you think that those countries are handling the pandemic well?
Well, in Kazakhstan, the first lockdown went pretty well, and we haven't any numbers. But during the summer, by the end of the summer, it was terrible, I would say. But now it looks good. I don't know who to trust, but judging from my closest relations, it's good now. So, but during the shooting, yeah, we try to. Everyone is wearing masks and the sanitizers and everything, and there's fees and fines for not complying. But still, I understand it's still dangerous. So, but as long as government allows us to do that, we're trying to shoot. Here in Moscow, the situation right now is more critical because we have production schedules changing every day due to someone being sick on the set, even if it's without symptoms. Or, the schedule is changing. That's a problem. That's why I'm still here. I was supposed to be here for 2 weeks, now I'm here for 2 months already. That's the problem because everyone has to plan. I have different projects coming in, so I don't know how it's gonna be, but I'm just at some point I just gave up and I'm going with the flow. Whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen. So
Yeah, and films are still being made, so for us as a festival, we're not panicking yet. Like, next year, we will have a full slate. I'm confident, and I'm looking forward to seeing your new film. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
All of our films will still be available on Xground On Demand, and also don't forget to vote for the Audience Award. Thank you so much for being with us today, and take care. Bye bye.